Assalamu alaikum. I am Naima Bayas. I'm going to be your host for today. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So grateful to Allah to be here. So grateful that you are here. So grateful to be able to talk about Sister Clara Muhammad School. We're going to have a school panel today. I want to tell you a little bit about it. We're going to have a video from Sister Mina Abdullah, wife of Brother Randolph Abdullah. May Allah be pleased with him and grant him paradise and reward him for all his work with Clara Muhammad School. We also have Imam Marvin Muhammad. We have Sister Karima Norrise. We have Sister Veronica Abdur-Rahman. We have Jamal Bay, Imam Talib, Hayward Talith, and myself. And we hope to present you with a picture of Clara Muhammad School in Houston. So I'm going to turn it over now so that we can see Sister Ameenah's video at this time. Maybe. All right, maybe we'll have to come back to it. We can come back to it in a minute. I'm going to ask Brother Marvin to get us started. He's going to tell us about the early days of Clara Muhammad School and what it was like. What was the environment? What was going on? So if you can bring in Brother Marvin, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Marvin Muhammad. And thank you very much, Sister Naima. And also thank you very much to the panelists and everyone involved in this production. This is something that we greatly need, and it's excellent. I moved to Houston in December 1980. When I got here, me and my wife and our 3 children, one of the things that we wanted to do was to put the children in an Islamic school. When I got here, at that particular time, there was a committee established to open up a Sister Clara Muhammad School. At that time, the school was headed by a brother by the name of a Muslim Shaheed. And Muslim Shaheed, he was there for a while, but he had other things that he had to do. And but one of the things he did do prior to passing the baton on to Brother Randolph Abdullah was he was able to order a large number of textbooks for the school. And I asked him one time, I said, man, how do you get all those books? He told me that he called the people, he talked to them, and told them what we were getting ready to do, and they sent the books. And I thought that was great, and I think that's a good lesson for us when we are trying to do something. But Brother Randolph Abdullah, may Allah have mercy on his soul and grant him paradise, he became the leader of the committee and the eventual first president of Sister Clara Muhammad School in Houston, Texas. I recall that we had a meeting one day, and I think it was 1980, and I believe it was in April. And it was 4 of us at the meeting. It was Brother Randolph, may Allah have mercy on him, Brother Mustafa Ture, may Allah have mercy on his soul and grant him paradise, Sister Daia Farouk, and myself. And we had a conversation about what was it going to take to get the school going. And the thing that came up was that we needed $1 million. And so we discussed it for a while, and we knew we weren't going to get $1 million. But Brother Randolph was very diligent in getting the school open. He had talked to Imam Kamaluddin and was committed. And so Randolph told us that what we were going to do, that we were going to open up the school in August of the same year, in August of 1981. Excuse me, I said 80, but August of 1981. And so we wind up doing that, and that was a great thing. As we went forward with that, and one thing I want to mention about the people that were at the meeting that particular day, even though there may have been some concerns about how we was going to open the school, every person at that particular meeting on that day enrolled their children into Sister Clara Muhammad School, and I think that was great. So we can't have difference of opinion and still be progressive. In the meantime, to set the school up, what we did, we went a route, and the route was to set up with a license from Child Protective Services, from licensing, daycare license, excuse me. And that was something we was able to get, and you can set that up from, I think, like pre-K up to about the 7th grade, from about like 4 or 5 years old up to 12 years old. So we got that. And then there was things that we had to do. We had to have report cards. We had to have immunization records. There was lots that we had to do. And myself and Brother Randolph, we got together And we put all these forms together. You know, we went on what we knew, what we saw, and we wanted, when the school started, we wanted to register the students, have the information. And so we went that route, and that's what we did. And also another thing that happened was we had to structure the school. We had to do a physical restructuring of the masjids to have the school, and we utilized at that time the educational building, the masala, and also the back room and the administrative building, you know, for the children. And so we were able to do that. Then we came up with we had to get teachers, and so we had a structure going into the establishment of the school. Imam Ibrahim Kamaluddin was the director. Brother Randolph was the principal, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was the assistant principal. Sister Mina Abdullah, Brother Randolph's wife, was one of the teachers. Sister Bilkis Bilal was a teacher also. My wife, Rosalie, was a teacher. Herman Jabbar was a teacher. And we had our brother Clint Vance, who was a teacher also. Now, those were the initial teachers, but we don't want to exclude those people who volunteered and eventually became teachers and principal. One was Sister Karima Norrise, who's going to speak a little bit later. Sister Renee Hassan, Sister Daya Farouk consulted, Sister Aisha Muhammad, I believe Sister Evelyn Bilal, and a sister, I can't remember her first name, but her last name was Rashid, Mikhail Rashid's wife. She was a Montessori school instructor, and she added a whole lot as far as training and getting the teachers prepared, you know, for the school. So we had a good school. We had family members. We went out and we recruited. We had family members that came in. Now I'm going to name you these family members, but this is not to exclude anybody who came after, because all of us, whether you were there on the first day, the second day, the third day, or whatever, you all were pioneers, and what you did was greatly appreciated. But there was the Clarence and Fatima El Amin family, Muslim Shahid, his family, Brother Theodos El Amin, his family, Brother Robert Shakir, his family, Rahim and Herma Jabbar, Bilal and Bilkis Bilal, Mustafa and Messina Ture, the Mubashir family, Brother Bilal Mubashir and Sakina, the El Amin family, the Akbar family, El Amin and Linda Akbar, Amatullah and Abdullah Muhammad, Ishaq Mawakil and his family, Farid and Renee Hassan, Imam Farouk and his family, and Sister Farouk's family, Brother Randolph family, and my family. These are some of the families that contributed and enrolled the children in the school, and it was really great. And it was a great pioneering spirit. And when I speak of the pioneering spirit, I need us to understand that, yeah, you had Lewis and Clark who went out and ventured out. There were many people who came out also after Lewis and Clark, and they were pioneers also. So we're thankful for everyone that participated. But when we opened up the school, from those families that I mentioned, and if I missed anyone, I apologize, there was 30 to 40 children that we enrolled in the school initially. The one of the things I want to mention also is the principals that were there. And Brother Randolph was the first principal, and he was followed by Sister Renee Hassan. And I believe the third principal was a sister from Chicago. I forget her name, but I know Sister Ines Hassan was also a principal. And then our last and probably the principal with the longest tenure was Sister Naima Bey. So the spirit that we had in going into the school was we wanted to educate our children. We had confidence in ourselves that we could educate our children, and we wanted them to have an Islamic education. And all of us was young. We were either in our 20s or our 30s, and we were parents, and we were trying to establish something. So I want to say this in closing, because time is limited, and is that there's several things that we have to have to continue to add to the book and chapters. Number one, we have to have faith in Allah. Faith that Allah is with us and that we can have a school, regardless of what we think it takes, and we're able to do it. We have to have courage. We got to realize that we're going to run into bumps, we're going to stumble. And that's one of the biggest things about the families, the students, the teachers, the volunteers, and everyone, is that there was courage. And the courage we had was a I can do courage, and is appreciative. Then we have to have trust in Allah and trust in one another, that we can teach our children and we can educate our children. And as we see now, you know, homeschooling is very, very important. So there's more of a need now than it was then for us to have a Sister Clara Muhammad school. And then the last thing is that we have to be sticklers. And what I mean by that, we have to be people that can begin a task and continue on that task, and to help that particular task evolve over time. And the book has been written on Sister Clara Muhammad School, and I'm appreciative to whoever reopened this book, because it's time for us to write another chapter on what we need to do for Islamic education. And so there's much, much more detail is there. I can go into lots of different things. I can tell you some funny stuff. But since time is limited, I only wanted to show you what we did, how we got it together, and how we made it happen, so that if anyone in the near future wants to do it, I pray to Allah that this information will help them. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Imam. All right, so now we're going to move on to Sister Veronica.
Oh, assalamu alaikum. I am really very grateful and honored to be part of this panel and to share my experiences with Sister Clara Muhammad School. And my experiences really is as a parent and as a science teacher. 4 of my children attended the school. So as a parent, I really knew that Sister Clara Muhammad School was a great place for them to be. And I could see the results. They are young adults now. It really fostered that growth and provided them a space so they can grow and become young African-American Muslims. You know, as I reflect on my experience at Sister Clara Muhammad School, an acronym came to my mind, and that acronym was CARE, C-A-R-E. And that came up because that's what I felt, that's what my children felt in that environment, that there were people who truly cared for us as people, as parents, as teachers, as children. So I'd like to share that acronym with you. The C in CARE I saw as commitment. And that was demonstrated daily by the teachers, the administrators, the staff, the parents. And there was that commitment to a unique purpose and vision of what we wanted for our children, for the education we wanted for our children, to accomplish the goals that Sister Clara Muhammad wanted for Muslims in North America. The A in CARE I see as awareness. Awareness at Sister Clara Muhammad in the school, in the sense that there was a focus of helping our students to be aware of themselves as Muslims as well as African Americans in this society. And truly, I feel that enhanced their identity of who they are. Now, that was very evident in the curriculum when you attended any of the programs and the events and the songs. It was infused with Islam and infused with African-American pride. And I mean, that is just so essential for our children, for young children, to know who they are and to be proud of who they are. And I know that our children get that sense from the school. The R, I saw it as resourcefulness. You know, we're not a rich school. We had very limited resources, but despite having limited resources, the creativity that you saw with the teachers and the parents in providing an environment that would help foster the education of our children. And you know, there's one event or one activity that I fondly remember. And it is when we started our first newsletter. And this was a project that Sister Inez had started with the older children. And it was great because we had them writing poems and, you know, short stories. And it was a project that the teachers were involved. Sister Inez and I, we were involved doing our own writing as well as the children. And we also got Brother Dujana Abdul Nur. I'll never forget that. He did the artwork for the cover of our newsletter. And then the students then having the product in their hands. And if I really look, I could still find that very first newsletter. it was really such joy and accomplishment for them to see their work, to see it published, to see people read their poems and their short stories. It was really a beautiful, beautiful project. And hopefully, I really hope that the students, you know, the passion we had in doing the project, you know, I think that generates a joy and a desire for students to learn and to stretch themselves. So I really remember that fondly. And then the E in care, I saw that as excel, because regardless to the resources, regardless to the space limitation, we knew and we believe in our children, and we knew that they had the ability to excel and do excellent work. And, you know, students and children needs to know that they can do excellent work. And we wanted them to excel not only academically, but more importantly, we wanted them to excel as responsible, respectful Muslims and Muslimas. And, you know, I pray to Allah that, you know, the efforts that we put into our school and the efforts we put into educating our children. I was very enlightened by what Brother Marvin just shared, because some of those early history I was not aware of. But it was just a wonderful experience looking back. Today, one of my children who attended Sister Clara Muhammad's school turns 40. So it's been a while, but it's been a wonderful journey. And my prayer is that Allah would accept all of our efforts, and that inshallah we can continue to, you know, promote and keep going with Islamic education. I agree. It's something that's really, really needed. Thanks again for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. And so now we're going to go to a video from Sister Ameenah Abdullah, and she'll share her experience. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, here we go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'm Sister Mina Abdullah, wife of Brother Haji Randolph Rasul Abdullah. I want to give you a little bit of background about Randolph before he became the principal of Sister Clara Muhammad School at 6641 Belford here in Houston. Randolph attended North Carolina A&T State University, and he received his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. While he was at school, he became affiliated with the community of Al-Islam back in 1972. With the community there when he was in North Carolina, he was a staunch supporter of the Sister Clara Muhammad School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is their yearbook for the years of 1973 through 1979. And I'm going to let Abdur-Rahman read the quotation made in the book by the students in the school. And also, their first graduating class was 1978. The second graduates were for 1979. And I'm going to let Abdul read that for me.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Brother Randolph Abdullah, for his never-ending thoughtfulness in regard for Sister Clara Muhammad School, may Allah forever bless you for your deeds. Thank you from all of us.
And this, like I said, this is their yearbook, which was a very nice yearbook that they sent to him. Randolph, like I said, has always been a staunch, a supporter, active member in the community.
And so we apologize for that. Give us 1 second.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Sister Mina Abdullah, wife of Brother Haji Randolph Rasul Abdullah. I want to give you a little bit of background about Randolph before he became the principal of Sister Clara Muhammad School at 6641 Belford here in Houston. Randolph attended North Carolina A&T State University, and he received his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. While he was at school, he became affiliated with the community of Al-Islam back in 1972. With the community there when he was in North Carolina, he was a staunch supporter of the Sister Clara Muhammad School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is their yearbook for the years of 1973 through 1979. And I'm going to let Abdur-Rahman read the quotation made in the book by the students in the school. And also their first graduating class was 1978. The second graduates were for 1979. And I'm going to let Abdur read that for me.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Brother Randolph Abdullah, for his never-ending thoughtfulness in regard for Sister Clara Muhammad School, may Allah forever bless you for your deeds. Thank you from all of us.
And this, like I said, this is their yearbook, which was a very nice yearbook that they sent to him. Randolph, like I said, has always been a staunch, a supporter, active member in the community. Not only was he the principal of the school when the community decided to first open the school, he was also very active in fundraising. Someone had the idea of coming up with a birthday calendar where you would get the names, everyone would donate so much for their name, for the children's name, the grandchildren's name, their friends' names, their anniversary dates. This one was done in 1988. This one was done in 1980. And you may can see some of the students.
I think that's 1990.
This is 1990. And then this one,
95.
1995. Okay. And then this one also has the building before it was demolished by the storm. It's the old picture. Randolph, like I said, was very dedicated. He would stay up all through the night putting these books together. He would lay them out by hand, and his dedication was amazing to me and his family. I only have a few minutes to go over this, but I just wanted to share that with you, that little bit about him. May Allah be pleased with him, forgive him his sins, that any sins and transgression that he may have, and bless him with the paradise.
All right, and so now we will have actually Sister Karima. So I have to a bit of a correction. So thank you, Sister Karima, for joining us, and I will step out of the way.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Karima from Atlanta by way of California, with a stop in Arizona and Texas. Alhamdulillah. I was 3 years old when my parents joined the Nation of Islam in LA, California. And at that time, my parents and also other converts to the nation was encouraged to educate their children versus putting their children in the public schools. And so my parents, they spent a lot of time trying to establish schools in the West Coast. My mom is an educator, and sometimes we would be in a school setting and sometimes we'd be at home. And when we were at home, my mom would teach us some of the time, and other times they would hire teachers to come in, and we were in and out of like a physical classroom. My dad always told me that I was the first full-time student on the West Coast. Later, my dad, he converted Nadar Ali, which many of those who have been in the community for a long time know who he is. And they established a full-time school in Nadar Ali's guest house. And from Fresno, I was in Fresno, California. And from Fresno, California, Nadar Ali was sent to Los Angeles and then on to Chicago. I joined the Houston community in 1980, and I was a member of the Houston community from 1980 to 1990. And during that time, I was a parent and a teacher at the Muhammad schools. I have some notes right here, so I'm peeking at them so I won't forget anything. I am honored to have been a part of the history of the school, Clara Muhammad School in Houston. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all, I'm an alumni of the University of Islam. I worked at Muhammad schools from 1983 through 1990, and then I relocated to Atlanta. I began my career at the Muhammad schools there in Houston as the morning daycare person. I would go in and watch the children when their parents would drop them off until the teachers came in. I had a baby at that time. And so Sister Sakina Mubashir, she asked me if I would come in as the preschool kindergarten teacher, and she said she would keep my child for me while I was at teaching at the school. So that's how I began my teaching career. And during my time there at the Houston Muhammad schools, I originally started with pre-K through kindergarten and then on to first and second grade. We sacrificed a lot in those days, and we didn't have much money. And I remember when I was the pre-K teacher, how some nights I would stay up late with the old-fashioned carbon paper, and I would trace work for the children to do in school the following day. I worked under Imam Kamaluddin, Imam Sabur Hassan, Imam Hakim Akbar, and Imam Hayward Talith. The principals I worked under was Brother Randolph, Sister Renee Hassan, the sister from Chicago, I don't remember her name, and Sister Inez. When I was working with the preschool kindergarten class, we taught the Montessori techniques. And just to give you a little idea of the difference of Montessori versus traditional, in a traditional classroom, the teacher is the focus in the classroom. In the Montessori classroom, the teachers are the focus. And the teacher introduces activities to children and then let them pursue their own interests while observing them. One in a traditional classroom, one subject is usually taught at a time. In a Montessori classroom, the teacher let the children select their own experiences at their own pace. In the traditional classroom, it's usually one age group. In a Montessori classroom, is mixed age. In the traditional classroom, the teacher is in charge of the lesson. In the Montessori classroom, the children learn from each other. And there was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. So learning in the traditional classroom, learning is reinforced by the teacher by repetition and reward. And in the Montessori classroom, a child is reinforced. They're learning through repetition and feeling of success. So alhamdulillah, it was a wonderful experience. And I left in Houston in 1990 and went on to Atlanta, worked at the Muhammad schools in Atlanta. In Houston, I worked in the fundraising for the school. I would, every Friday, we would break down the classroom because we were in the Masala before we got the trailer. And I would go over to the kitchen to cook lunches to sell after Juma to raise funds. I worked on the fundraising committee in Atlanta, and I was also a host student. I would host students at my home from out of town, like a boarding school. So alhamdulillah, both of my children are alumni of Sister Clara Muhammad School, W.D. Muhammad High in Atlanta. Assalamu alaikum.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I want to first, everything I say is not to give any pats on the back to myself, but to answer Sister Veronica's statement where she said that they prayed for the efforts of the students and everything that they put in, that they would be able to see the fruits of that. And it's only by the mercy of Allah that any success that any of us have had was because of the foundation that was laid for us at Sister Clara Muhammad School. You can tell from my name title, it says Imam First Lieutenant Jamal Bey. I'm in the chaplain corps in the U.S. Army. And it was that foundation that I got at Sister Clara Muhammad School that gave me the ability to effectively communicate the religion in such a way that I could be beneficial to both myself, my family, and for soldiers and Muslims as a whole. There's one thing that I remember seeing we used to call them the modules in the back. And there was a sign on the wall that said, everything a Muslim does, or everything a Muslim endeavors to do, they seek to perfect it, or they put 110% into it. And so that has always stayed with me since I was a child. So growing up through school, putting pictures in the Museum of Fine Arts, fighting at the Olympic level in karate, and then going on to get a master's degree, getting another master's degree, then joining the Army to become a chaplain. And I think I'm actually the only graduate of Sister Clara Muhammad School to be in the entire DOD chaplain corps. But we are looking for more chaplains if anybody wants to join me. I'm not hard to find. But I don't have much time. But what I do want to say, Imam Wazir was talking in his khutbah earlier about advancing the pursuit of our shared vision. We have to carry this legacy on. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep bringing this expression of the religion to the forefront, because it is what the people need. It's what the world needs. It's what Muslims need. It's also going to be very beneficial to us. Again, my name is Jamal Bey, and I'm going to pass it on to Imam Talib, who will be speaking next. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Haywood Talib, and I'm also very grateful, thankful to be a part of this presentation and celebration of the masjid here that was once the Houston Masjid of Al-Islam and now Masjid W.D. Muhammad, and also to during that time, we did have the Sister Clara Muhammad School. At that time, I was taught Quranic study and PE, as well as being the Imam of the masjid. And having the opportunity to interact with the young people on field trips, on PE activities, exercises. I remember one that we used to do all the time, and I'm trying to think now. I didn't think we called it soccer, but I guess it was because we would kick and move the ball around. And one of the things that I would have to always say to the children, you don't have any hands, because sometimes the ball would get in that area where they would automatically put their hands up. Once they put their hands up and touch it, then it was over. So it was very, very interesting to be able to interact with them on field trips and, well, to be physical with them. I'm a halfway athlete, so I enjoyed being part of the PE instructor. The Quranic study was also very interesting. I remember, I do have now, I don't know exactly where it is, but I've had a picture or a drawing of one of our students that drew a picture of from Surah Field, the elephant. And of course, the picture of the elephant was in his snout, spraying out water or liquid, but they're big drops. And then you also had the birds that was dropping down the stones and all of these things on the elephant and the people. Very interesting drawing. Many of our children drew different pictures and so forth from our Quranic study class. And I don't know, I keep saying that we had a wonderful time. I enjoyed going on field trips. I was very proud of our children going to these different field trips, NASA, also taking part in spelling bee, going to the different museums and things like that. I remember, and although we don't and didn't celebrate Halloween, one of our field trips was to a pumpkin farm in Hockley, Texas, you know. So that's many of the things that we did. I want to mention this too, because it was very interesting. You know, I was raised by old folks, and a lot of times they would say certain things to you, like when you wake up in the morning and come into their presence and you didn't speak, they would ask you, did I sleep with you last night? So I would say something like that to some of the children. They would come into class and wouldn't speak to us. And I'd say, did we sleep with you last night? And it got to be where they understood what I was saying. And I'm bringing that up now because if I would say something like that to them now, you know, I'd be nailed up against the wall and a child predator and all of these other kind of things. But I'm very happy to be a part of this, and I'm looking for the day that we reestablish the Sister Clara Muhammad School, either here on this property or some property here in Houston, because again, as you have heard and as you will hear, the idea of having the school was very, very productive, not only for the children, but also for the adults that participated. Had a very good relationship with the teachers and the parents and the volunteers and so forth. It was a very, very enjoyable time. And I look forward to being around, hopefully, when we reestablish the school, and know that this is very important. So again, I thank everyone for their support that was given to me during that time as Imam and as the PE teacher and Quranic study teacher. We had a good family relationship with all of them. And may Allah continue to bless us, bless our children coming behind, and also bless the ones that are part of the school who now have children of their own. So thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. We'd like to close out with a dua, and it'll be a short dua, inshallah. Our Lord, upon you we put our trust, and to you we turn, and to you is the final return. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.